we have now an opportunity to talk with two individuals from the community. I'd like for those two come on up. Christin and Katrin, come on up. I'm looking for Christin. Where are you? Christin ter Braak, who are you, Christin? Hello. Hello, this is the getting shit done, and she's not here. She's getting other shit done. Okay, here she comes. All right.
Thank you.
Excellent. So you get this microphone, because we're going to share one. Okay. So it is great to have both of you here. Thank you very much for the first time. And I call this getting shit done because both of you like getting shit done. This is something you both thrive on. And one of the big challenges we have very often here is, oh, thank you. These are my quotes. Is about how it's so hard to get things done. We hear that again and again and again. So, first of all, who are you? What are you doing? And how do you get stuff done? What's your magic secret? Your magic sauce? So I'm going to look at you first, right?
If you come to magic, it's up to me to start.
Exactly.
I do not know why, because for magic I'm the wrong person. My name is Katrin. Some of you already know that. I'm the head of sustainability and environment at Deutsche Bahn. So if you have a worse Deutsche Bahn story, please.
Wait, don't all come at once, really. It's okay.
But later, yes.
Wait later, give her a break.
Yeah. Minutes, yes. No, but that is what I do. And before I started in Berlin at Deutsche Bahn, I was mayor of Munich, and I was responsible for all sustainability topics, for building, for mobility, and so I switched to Deutsche Bahn, and to be honest, doing the same topics now. And how do I get closer? Yeah. Great. How do I get things done? Well, to me it's important that I switched from this, sorry Chris, very theoretical, that I switched from talking, writing strategies, reading books, writing books, discussing with other specialists into a company, and then I started talking to those who have to do it. To the builders, for example, to those who work in the trains, to those who sell the tickets, and so on. So this was my first step, and to be honest, that helped me a lot, because that worked out to get things done. To be very close to those who really have to do it.
And so what are some of the things you learned when you were having these conversations, like with the ticket seller or a cleaner, or what were some of the things some insights?
Well, what we think in groups or in bubbles like this, that everybody is exactly the same way intrinsically motivated than we are. And that the doings from that has to be clear. But that's not true. Yeah. That is simply not true. Yeah. And it is not the fault of other people who are not that intrinsically motivated. So they have other purposes. They are responsible for, maybe the Pünktlichkeit at Deutsche Bahn, or something else,
Maybe we should explain to everybody why we laugh at this.
Yeah, we laugh
Should
at
we do
this.
that?
We laugh at this because in comparison to the SBB, the Schweizer Bahn, the Deutsche Bahn has really a Pünktlichkeitsproblem.
Which is a punctuality issue.
The punctuality issue,
yes,
that's right.
Like they never come on time.
I'm searching for some English words. Thanks for helping.
Okay. So, but that's really great, because you're finding out what really needs to be done on the ground. As you said, this motivation. So I think, as you said, all of us are motivated by the same thing, which I'm not sure if I totally agree with you, because we'd have to go around and ask, but we are all somehow walking a path already. That I totally agree with. And so this is something I think is a really important thing for us to remember, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is.
Okay. Madam, you are also a doer. And tell us a tiny little bit more. You already spoke once a little bit today, but tell us a little bit more. who you are and why you are able to get stuff done.
Yeah, I mean, good evening, everybody, dear friends, I can already say, because it's an amazing group of wonderful souls that you have brought together, and Chanel, here in La Punt, in beautiful La Punt. I'm Christine, I'm originally from Austria. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and I was just thinking, it's very spontaneous, so we did not pre-plan those questions. My father always told me to treat everybody, for example, in our company where I grew up with my parents, the same, right?
Yeah.
So that you have that deep respect for everybody, right? Is it, it does not matter, like a title or anything. And I think why I'm getting things done is I just don't accept a no. After the last no comes a yes. I think part of my personal, passion is also to be resilient. And I think, connecting with nature gives us everything we need also, in business life.
So, you're known as an impact investor. This is what you do. What are the things you do? You have somehow garnered citizens. So I look at this as two sides, very different sides of a coin. You can work with certain individuals or small groups. You have worked with a city. So how do you get citizens to rally to something? And give us an example of what worked and what didn't work for you.
It's, to be honest, it's the same if you try to convince a community like the city members, or if you try to convince your colleagues at Deutsche Bahn.
Really close, otherwise they can't hear you at all. You got to do that. Or eat the microphone. All right. Is that better if we do it that way? Yeah, all right, there we go.
I feel a little like Lionel Richie now, but I try to do it like this. Okay, so it's pretty much the same, yeah. If you try to convince others, and what I can say, what works out really good is to build and to focus in the beginning on a very nice best practice example. I give you one example for that. We had huge discussions at Deutsche Bahn. How could railway station buildings, Bahnhöfe, become more sustainable? And it was very much like, oh no, that's too expensive and that's too complicated, and then we can't build it like we did the ages before. And then we built one. A very small, a very tiny one in Haar next to Munich, fortunately, so I can visit it often. And that was a railway station building made completely from wood, CO2 neutral, energy building, and so on and so on. And people could go in and watch it. And, very important, it was beautiful. It's such a beautiful Bahnhof, I can tell you. You should visit it all together. And that forced all my colleagues to say, oh, we want, that is what we want too. And so we end all those discussions about what are the points not to do it. They ended because everybody wants to have such a Bahnhof in other cities, in other stations, and so on. So a best practice example which can be seen, which can be visited, which can be touched, that always, in cities too, can be the door opener if you would like to reach something bigger.
So it's a really beautiful, functional prototype.
Beauty is important too.
Yeah. So it's maybe for when we're thinking about our stories for Le Punt, we have a very cute station here, and when we're thinking about the future, also the functionality and how we can think about that. I think this is a really important lesson for us, is the prototyping and how that can actually lead to next evolution, right? I think that's a really great one. So Christin, you talk also a lot about regenerative economy and how you're trying to help through some of your work with impact. What is that, and how do you see that regenerative economy evolving in your mind?
I think, we need to, we just talked about it,
Really
also
close.
on the impact investing side, really show success stories, yeah? Scalable, innovative pioneers that have the power to transform the sectors, basically, where they are operating in, with a core regenerative business model. So basically, where the positive impact is really ingrained in the company DNA, in the core product or in the core service. Those are the companies that are able to change the system. Those are the companies, for example, that we are investing in, because they have the power to also pull the large super tankers along and to make the systemic shift a reality. I think it's to showcase stories.
How do you get them to see this? Just your power of your persuasion and your charisma, or do you sit down there and you make a spreadsheet? Or how do you actually help them see this positive future?
We don't, it's a good question, but we do not have to help them to make it see. They already have it in their DNA, so they already know it. So we're screening hundreds of companies, and we are very, very, very selective in where we then finally invest in. But those companies are really already pioneers, so they know that they are really transformative.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's sort of there's a mutual attraction in that case, sort of.
You could say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and a great question, because for me, one of the things that we're going to be doing over tomorrow is creating stories. Stories which weaving these different characters, which all of us have been working on for the past few days together. And it's also on Saturday, we'll be sharing those with the community. What are some words of wisdom, which both of you might have, on how one might present such a story to a Gemeinde, a group who might be a little skeptical or not quite so sure? What's some advice you might give us?
It's very much the same.
Really close.
It's very much the same of what I already mentioned.
We're going to get some Lionel Richie going here pretty soon, all right? Yeah, all right.
It's very much of what I already mentioned, but in a different way. You can't come over and just produce or reproduce figures and numbers and try to convince somebody with the most horrifying numbers and scales and future topics and stuff like that. To me, you can convince somebody the best if you try to attract the emotion. Yeah. Give you an example. Right now, I try to digitalize the business cards at Deutsche Bahn, which is right. Oh, what do I do if I am in Japan? Well, we will have a look for that. But I do not try this with the figures, how much wood can be saved or stuff like that. I just tell them how much forest that would be each year and how much of Switzerland forest that would be each year, and that can preserved. So this is something, this is important for everybody. Yeah?
They can relate to it.
Because everybody's walking through his own or nearby forest, and so this is something that comes very close to me, and so I can convince somebody.
Yeah.
And that is how we have to tell stories in a positive way and not fulfilled with figures. To be honest, everybody forgets after 1 hour, maybe 1.5.
Unless you're a complete numbers geek, and then you remember them forever. But it's like, so it's how do we make these stories relevant to individuals who we'll be seeing on Saturday? That's very interesting. What about you? Any words of wisdom for us? Before I get my glass of wine again, says I'm getting ready for it.
I think it's so important, as you say, Chris, right, to involve the stakeholders and to kind of show that bottom-up approaches are actually working. Also here in Switzerland, not only like far away in emerging countries. So, for example, we have invested in a German-based startup. It's the fastest growing startup in Germany in the reusable space. So they have bowls for takeaway food. So basically they are now already at the European Championship, which is totally amazing. And so we invested when they were relatively small, but now, for example, the city of Schaffhausen said, you know, we actually love to promote your system in the city of Schaffhausen, and we give incentives to restaurants who offer this. I mean, this is systemic change on a small scale, and that is amazing if, you know, we can showcase those positive stories to really incentivize also like public stakeholders.
That's fantastic.
But then that becomes a best practice example from Schaffhausen, and then maybe Munich or Berlin, they do it as well. So that's what I mentioned when I really spoke about best practice examples.
That's great. It creates a domino effect. It's like, me too. I want to do that in a positive way. That's great. I want to thank both of you for coming up here and sharing your wisdom with us, and I can't wait to see what stories you also help to co-create tomorrow. So thank you.
Chris.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.